Hey everyone, have you ever had the ultimate dream of hunting bears in Alaska? Grizzly bears, the big ones, the mean ones. Well, I have, and I scratched that itch just now. We are just back from a successful hunt, and this podcast is going to tell you all about it. I'm with my guide, Gary, and again, I forgot your last name.
Stewart.
Gary Stewart, how can I forget Gary Stewart? Jimmy Stewart was one of my favorite actors. Gary Stewart, what a great guide he was. We had a great packer and videographer along with us from New Hampshire, of all places. These young men pop out of the woodwork, and when you know where you want to go in your life with outdoor adventure, you go to Alaska. And that's what Jonah did. So Gary and Jonah took me on the bear hunt of a lifetime, and we're going to talk all about it on this episode of Ron Spomer Outdoors Podcast. Well, we just concluded a wonderful grizzly hunt in Alaska.
Was, yeah.
Interior grizzly, this is my second one, and this one ended up with a much bigger bear than my first one.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Ron.
Yeah, and a much better looking guide too. I don't remember what that's all about.
Well, I don't know if there's any correlation, but
No, I don't think there is. The bear was maybe after you. I don't know what it was. But hey, guys, we just wanted to go through this hunt and tell you how it all came down, what exactly happened. Now, we flew out of Iliamna.
Yep.
We're at Tulare Lodge. Is that
Tulare Creek Lodge. Yep. Tulare Creek.
Yep. And it's Alaska Bushwhack Adventures, or is it Bushwhack Alaska Adventures, or is
Bushwhack Alaska Adventures.
Bushwhack Alaska Adventures. I've seen it spelled with the words in different positions, and I get all confused. The important thing is, it is a great operation. They've got a beautiful lodge up here. Unfortunately, you only get to stay in it about one night before you go out in the bush to go hunting. I mean, that's why we're here, right?
Right. It's just a pit stop for the adventure.
Yeah. But if you do some fishing, you get to stay here.
Yeah.
And we're going to do fishing next. But right now we want to go over this bear hunt. So we flew out with the famous Jerry Jakes as the pilot, and he had actually flown me many years ago up into the Brooks Range when he was hunting up there. And I was actually hunting for a grizzly bear. Never even saw one. They were all on the wrong side of the Brooks Range. We were on the north. In a caribou migration, I think had already gone over, and they'd followed them. We saw 3 caribou the whole time we were there, as I recall, and no grizzly bears. But back on the south side in his main camp, they were literally harassing the cook. She was shooting in with her .357 Magnum to dissuade them from hitting the cook tent. So there's a lot of bears in Alaska. Now, this was an unusual hunt in that where you called it a conservation hunt?
Predator control hunt.
Predator control hunt. How's that? What's that all about?
So the way that Alaska manages the game is, they look at different species. And so for moose and caribou, which is a very important species for subsistence and for people coming up and hunting, it's very important, and so they try to manage those numbers. And if they see or feel that their numbers are hitting a low or can't grow because of predators, then they release this into where we go out and we shoot bears. We have a more general season to go out and harvest these grizzlies, which can be very detrimental to the calving seasons.
So the big bears are essentially killing the calves. Shortly after they hit the ground.
Correct.
And you end up with no recruitment or extremely low recruitment?
Correct.
Is it worse for moose than caribou, or is it hard on both of them?
It's hard on both of them. Just from what I've understand is it's more based on the moose population than the caribou population. I'm sure they're intertwined, but I just hear more about the moose, and that's more the fact that we hunt moose here in these areas and not caribou. So.
And you were telling me in camp that moose, some of these big bears have been killing as many as 20 moose calves in a spring?
Yes. At one point in time, they did a study on this, tracked collared bears, and followed them around. And yeah, I believe it was up around 20 or upwards. That's on the high side, obviously, of bears killing and eating calves. That's what they focused on throughout the spring. That was their food source.
Sure.
And it's an easy food source. So
yeah.
that's the thing. I'm sure you've seen some of the videos online where there's bears going after the moose calves. The moms can only keep them away for so long, and they get exhausted, and then the calves are young and they get exhausted, and then it's just over.
Bears got them.
So this is a way to help kind of allow that population to grow, knock some predators back, and give them a chance to breathe and raise some young.
Yeah, because a moose cow will have one, rarely twins. It's usually just one. So in 1 year, she's having a calf. Well, if that calf gets eaten, she's produced nothing.
Yeah,
so the population is stagnant or declining.
Right, and I think in a normal ecosystem, I believe it's still only about 50% success rate on those calves to reach adulthood. Yeah. So it's still not the greatest. I mean, think about Alaska. It's rough, and moose don't get the pleasure of hibernating. So they're out there all winter long, deep snow, looking for forage. And then they got to deal with wolves and everything on top of it. So
yeah, when you throw the wolves in, my gosh, the wolves are pounding them all winter.
Yeah.
And then spring comes and they've managed to hang on, survive the spring, to have their calf, and here comes Mr. Grizzly, no more calf, all for naught.
Yep. Wow. So it's moose are a very hardy, tough animal, but they have a lot of things stacked against them, and so if we can help them out by taking the predators down, that helps the population out, which helps our our ecosystem and the Alaskan dream of hunting a moose out.
So I am not only up here hunting bear, but I'm doing good conservation work as I'm hunting.
Yes, you are. And that's important. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Right now, bear population across Alaska is at an all-time high, record high.
Really?
And so managing bear populations is very important, not only to ungulates such as moose or caribou, but also to future bears, because the big boars will eat and kill young cubs, or other bears if there's no other food source around, but also just for mating purposes and all these things that you add into it. And so you're allowing the younger bears, if you're targeting mature bears like we were, they allows younger bears to come up and grow up and have a chance to have a full life. And it's a conservation because they are the apex predator here in Alaska. They are, grizzly bears, brown bears are the largest land predators in the world.
Yeah.
And so they're very good at what they do, and very good at surviving, because like humans, they can survive on a lot of stuff if one resource is short. So then it gets them through the tougher times better than it does more of a carnivore like a wolf, that if there's no food, there's no food. Bears, they have a wider diet and can make it through. And so it's bigger than just hunting bears. It's conservation, and it's trying to create a sustainable ecosystem.
Yeah. Well, we did our part, and that is what we're going to talk about next, is the hunt we took. So when Jerry flew us up, we went about an hour.
Yep, about an hour north. Yep.
Yeah. Well, what area of Alaska would you just roughly call that? Kind of central west, or
interior, central Alaska.
Yeah. And you have to be
south central. We'll call it
south central. Okay. But we're north of the peninsula.
Correct. Just north of the peninsula.
Okay.
Pretty well centered in the state there.
All right. And that is considered the interior grizzly bear.
Correct.
Now, grizzly bears and brown bears are the same species, but the brown bears living along the coast and in the salmon-rich areas just get much bigger because they've got that food source. The interior grizzly has a little rougher time of it. He's digging up ground squirrels and marmots if he can get them, eating a lot of vegetation. A lot of berries, and a lot of moose. And then not only the moose calves, there have been plenty of these big old boars that have figured out how to kill fully adult moose, including the big bulls.
Yep.
And I've heard some real horror stories about how many of those they can wipe out in a hurry.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, it's kind of a big deal. So that's what we were after. We're looking for a mature boar, take him out so there's less pressure on the resource. So we fly up about an hour into, how did you choose the area where we hunt? Did you scout it ahead of time and know there's a lot of bears there, or do you just look for a certain kind of terrain and habitat?
Well, both. So we've been in the area before. We've hunted that for moose in the past, and we know that there's bears in there. And but we were trying to find a spot for us on this hunt, and we were looking at maps and we're going off of past data and experience, and that's how we ended up where we were.
Yeah, now you have to find a lake on which you can land a float plane.
Correct, and we wanted a place where we weren't, because, you know, there's a difference between a moose lake and a bear lake.
Yeah.
Moose you can call, and the thick cover isn't the end of the world, because you can bring the moose to you, bring them to the lake shore to where you can see them. Where bears, you know, or the way we were hunting them is you have to see them.
So it's just glassing, trying to find that
Correct.
bear, and if you've got too much forest cover,
right,
your odds are way low.
Yeah, and so what we were looking for on this hunt was a spot where we could land beaver on floats, get up out of the thick timber quickly, easily, to where we can then start glassing around us in the more open country, the tundra, the hillsides, and obviously they come out of the forest as well. There was definitely some forest where we were, but there was a lot of open stuff where we could see. So if there was a bear walking through, we could see it, and then if it was a bear we wanted to go after, we could then focus tighter on that area by moving quickly because the terrain allowed us to.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how the hunt happened. We landed on this lake, and it was a mixture of forest, some spruce forest, some willows, a lot of alders, the usual stuff, but a nice little mix, and then some good-sized hills rising up out of it that were open, some tundra country up on those hills. And I thought at first we were a little bit too thick. When we first landed, I was worried. I was thinking, man, we're going to have a hard time seeing any bears in that forest. But turned out that there were more than enough openings to find them, because when they're walking around, they're covering a lot of country. And correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, but right now the boars are still shopping for females.
Yeah, they're still in the rut. It is starting to wind down a little bit, but they're still on the move, cruising, and that's just bears in general, especially this time of year. They're going to be moving a lot to find the different food sources as they wait for. You know, some bears are going to be waiting for salmon, depending upon what areas they're in. And then they're also waiting for the berries. The berries are huge, and so the fall they're going to kind of concentrate, and they're not going to be moving as much because they're going to know where their berry patches are. So this time of year, though, they're cruising, looking for all the available food sources, be that vegetation to eat, or ground squirrels, or beavers, easy meals for them.
But my impression of the bears we saw is, I'm sure we saw the same bear twice.
I'm fairly confident in that myself, yeah.
And when we saw that bear, I've seen this before, he is walking steadily. Didn't look to me like he was trying to feed on anything.
No, he was
looking for a girlfriend.
He was moving. Yeah. He was cruising, and you'll see them do that later in the year too when they're not mating. But this time of year when you see a bear just on a march, as I would call it, he's probably looking, trying to cover ground, trying to cut a scent track of a female that's in heat so he can breed her. Yeah.
Now, the cool thing is when we landed on this lake, we had to, well, I don't know if this was so cool because it was work, but we had a pretty hefty worker to do the heavy lifting. But we were on the lake shore where we really didn't have much of a view. And Gary said, well, we need to try to get up, and there looks like a nice little bench up there. Let's go check it out. So we ended up walking. Do you think we went a half mile?
Probably about a half mile where we got dropped off on the lake. Pack camp, but like we walked around obviously first. We found a spot, but rather than carrying stuff with us to get there, and we found our spot, and then we packed everything over there up the little hill, and just that way, we have a lot to see right from camp. So when we're eating breakfast in the morning, dinner in the evening, we're still hunting, we're still glassing. All you have to do is step out of the tent. You're back in the game hunting, and also it's just nice being out and having a view from tent. It's one thing to be deep in the forest, and that's one thing, but we're in Alaska. There's a lot of beautiful hills and sunsets, sunrise. We got to see it all. You want to be
up where you can see.
We got to get up where we were able to see, and have a breeze too, which helps to know what else is going on in the world.
Yeah, we found a nice campsite down in the conifer forest and all, but you couldn't see anything. And this is a game of spot and stalk. Or spot and cut them off as things turned out. So we got up on that high bench to where we could see down on the lakes. We had a big lake and then a smaller lake, and a lot of activity on that lake. Gosh, we had golden eagles and bald eagles and harriers and and Bonaparte's gulls, and lots of ducks, lots of scaup, and some redneck grebes nesting. I mean, we got to really see a lot of activity out there. Because it's June and all these animals are in the middle of their nesting season and breeding season and stuff. We saw one good bull moose starting to grow some pretty nice antlers.
Yeah, he was pretty full.
Yeah, but we didn't see a lot of bears. Now, would that surprise you? It kind of surprised me. I mean, I didn't think we were going to see a bear every hour, but I thought we would see a few, like a sow with cubs going through or something.
That just depends. I mean, it's just, it varies. Some of the bear hunts I'm on, and a number of bear hunts that I'm on, the first bear we see is the bear we end up shooting. It's being in the right place, right time, and the right bear. And then also other times we're doing a lot of window shopping, and or just, Nat Geo viewing, where we're watching the sow and cubs playing on the hillside all day. Yeah. And it's fun to see, it's good to see, and it's entertaining, but it's not why we're there. We're there to hunt a big boar, and so we only need to see one, and that's okay. And that's, and that's the thing, is it also varies from day to day. Some days you're going to see more bears than others, and you can have several days of not seeing much of anything, and then all of a sudden it seems like every hill you look on there's a bear, and then the next day it's slow again. It just depends upon when those bears decide to show up, and if you get lucky enough to see them in the numbers. But bears can be anywhere and everywhere and nowhere all at once.
Yeah, well, we saw the nowhere thing a few times.
Yes, we did.
So when we got all the gear and packed it up to our site, bit of a load, couple of trips to get it all up there. But the sweet thing was, you brought enough gear along to make it a comfortable stay. Yeah. Good sized tent, some convenient little chairs that really made it nice for glassing, to be able to sit in a chair. I never thought a chair was a big deal, but when you're glassing for hours and hours on end, that really makes a difference.
It's nice to have a little back support.
Yeah. So, and we had plenty of food. We had some cots to sleep on. So I was used to traditional backpack camps in Alaska, and you kind of say, well, I'm just going to have to live on a minimal everything. But this was pretty plush for a wilderness hunting camp.
It is, and we pride ourselves on going above and beyond for that. We have the pilots to do it, and we have the gear to do it, and also, we very much believe in that we control everything we can control. We can't control the weather, we can't control the bears, we can't control the mosquitoes, but we can control our camp. We can control how comfortable we are in camp with cots and food, a variety of food, good gear, and just having everything to be comfortable. Because that goes a long ways, especially by day 8, day 9, keeping you in the mindset. Because that's the biggest thing when you're hunting Alaska, is staying in the mindset of, I am hunting. This isn't miserable. It is miserable, but I have a chance to take a step back and relax, get comfortable, so I can do it again tomorrow. But if you're getting in your little pup tent every night, wet, nowhere to dry anything out, you're cold, you're eating less calories than you do in a normal day, and you're working hard, being out in the elements, that makes it miserable. And being miserable makes it so you don't want to, where it makes it easier to say, you know what, I gave it my best. No, we want to keep you in the game, we want to keep you out there, we want to keep you hunting, because that's what it takes. I mean, we have 10 days. That's what our hunts are, 10 days long. Those 10 days, we're looking for one opportunity that can only last 15 minutes. And that's the thing, is that's why we're out there, is for those 15 minutes. You've
got to put in the time, have the patience for the right 15 minutes to pop up.
Yeah, because it can happen the very first morning, which I've had on multiple species, and also the very last 15 minutes of the hunt. It can happen anytime in between there. We have to be ready. We have to be in the good mental and physical spot to make it count.
Well, it seemed to all work out for this hunt because we were in a great location for spotting. Yeah, and when we first spotted the bear, it was close to 2 miles away, I estimated.
Yeah, I would say 1.5 miles, 2 miles.
Yeah.
Easy.
And it was one of these big boars that as soon as I saw it, I thought, this is the guy who's shopping. He's not looking for food. He's not meandering. He's on a straight line course. He's not slowing down. He's just going.
Yep.
And I thought, we're never going to catch up with him.
No, and it was at a time in the evening where we had some time, but with how he was moving and where he was moving, we were just going to be wasting energy and time and effort just to say we went after him. It actually...
We wouldn't have gone after him, because if you'd have said, let's go, I would have said, no, let's not go. It's almost dinner time. Let's stay here.
Yep. No, I understand. And but no, it wasn't a good situation for us. We got to see a bear, which is great. We got to see a good bear. But, that's bear hunting, is you have to understand how they move, where they move, what they do. And does this have a high percentage success rate?
Well, this is that perseverance part I talked about. You've got to have the perseverance to understand that it's going to take time, and you have to be able to stick it out.
Yep.
And it really is a mindset issue. I mean, I can feel myself thinking, this is a waste of time, this is stupid, this is boring, you're sitting around here day after day looking. There aren't any bears here, let's move. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I would have been gone. I'd have been out of there because I want to cover ground and find them.
Right.
But having done it a few times and understanding better that the bears cover so much ground and they don't get worn down like we do.
They're always moving.
Yeah. So your chances are just as good that they're going to find you as that if you're going to go out and find them.
Correct. And that's the thing, is if you're in a high travel area, which that valley to me, once we landed there, this is a
looked like it, huh?
High travel area. You got everything you need, especially this time of year, with the green grass and the vegetation that's freshly budding down low along the lakes.
Yep, good moisture down there.
And then you had the mountains that had the good grass and stuff.
And the squirrels up in the side of the mountains.
And squirrels up in the side of the mountains. There was good food source there. Plus, it was just a geographic crossroads. If you were to look on the map where we were, how the valleys came together, that was a valley on the way to the river, coming from the high hills where they would have been denning and mating. It was just on their natural path to come through, and that's why we chose this spot. And obviously we proved it was a travel path.
Yeah. So the way it happened, and on the second day we see this big boar way out there, and it's shucks, close but no cigar kind of a thing. Looks like he's leaving your life for good.
Yeah, he's actually like quartering away, going down, and he's hitting like a spot where he can take a right, take a left.
Yeah.
He can go every which way. And so, there's nothing to do but let him go and wonder which way he decided to go.
And hope he was coming back.
Yeah.
And I thought at the time, gosh, if that's a regular travel route for him, if he's, let's say, going from the hills down to the river, shopping either for girls or food, he'll probably come back. Would it be in a day? Would it be in 2 days? Should we go down there? I never said that to you. I thought, well, you probably know better, but I was thinking that. And as it turned out, he was prospecting all of his country.
Yep.
Like you said, there were runways going everywhere. We were literally camped on a game trail.
Yep.
Went right through our camp.
A nice deep one.
Yeah, and as it turned out, there was a better one on the other side of the lake where we were glassing. And when I was looking at those lakes every time, I thought, gosh, I expect to see a bear walking the shoreline.
Yep.
I've seen it before, and that ends up what happened.
It's easy travel route. They're not having to beat through the brush. They're not having to gain altitude and cut over where there's no food.
Yeah.
It's just an easy travel route through the valley.
And it takes them through good moose habitat. I would imagine those cows are dropping their calves in that kind of protective forest habitat, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah. I've seen it in other places. We didn't see a cow and a calf there, which actually surprised me because it did look like the perfect calving grounds. Yeah. But we did see that bull.
That bull, yeah.
That tells us that there are moose there.
Sure.
And it just...
And the other thing that was there that I thought might attract a bear were all of the nesting ducks. Mm-hmm. Gosh, there were ducks, and there were swans in there, diving ducks, puddle ducks, mallards, gadwall, teal,
pintails,
widgeon, pintails. It was just Ducks Unlimited Central.
Yes, it was.
And I figured those bears, if they can sniff out let's say a calf moose, they could sniff out eggs, birds on nests and stuff. And if they're going through that shoreline where those birds were nesting, we about stepped on a hen and had a nest under that little spruce tree. So just like this is a pretty good food area for a lot of different types of food.
Right.
And but he never did look to me like he was shopping for food. It always looked like he was just covering country.
He was, and we saw that on the morning of day 3.
Oh, and is this a cool part of the story, guys? So we're up in the morning on day 3 and thinking, maybe today we'll go a little bit further because there has been this spot, this shoulder we called it, of the ridge that was wide open and pretty high so that you would be able to see down in this valley where that big boar went.
Kind of on a confluence of valleys.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you had a valley cut north to south, and the valley we were on that's east and west, that just made that even longer where we got to see further in there. And sometimes it's nice just to see a little different country whenever you've been looking at something for, what were we glassing, 16 hours a day?
Yeah.
And so it would have been just a little bit of change of pace for us. We saw that bear down there. And so that's what we were kind of talking about that morning. Yeah. And that's like, well, let's go back to where we've been for a little bit, and then maybe we'll move on and hit that shoulder and check that out. See what it really looks like in there, because when you're flying over it, you can't remember exactly what it looks like. Yeah. And so then you're like, well, what does it look like? And also from the airplane's different than from boots on the ground.
Yeah. And I was ready for a fresh perspective, but we never got the chance because we had had coffee, we'd had breakfast and plenty of it. We'd packed up lots of food for the day because we were going to be out for the whole time, lots of water, strapping on our packs. I mean, we were about 10 seconds from stepping off to go, and somebody happened to look across the lake and see something big and brown.
Yep. I was reaching to grab my binos off my tripod, which was right there. I turned around in the process of taking my binos off, and there's our bear.
And I hear this, and it took a while to sink in. I was like, what? What is he talking about? No, there's our bear right across the lake. Holy mackerel, there he was, right where I expected him. Yep. From the first time we got up there, set up that camp, and I looked out, I thought, we're going to see a bear walking along that lake shore. And we hadn't to that point, but boy, we did when you saw him. He was there.
He was right there, and it was one of those situations where, again, he was marching, and we needed to make a move.
Yeah.
There was not much time, like just... From the bears I've seen, that was a good bear. That was a good grizzly. Yeah. And it was go, and if we decided he wasn't the bear, we can let him walk, but we had to get down there, and we had to go. Yeah, it was grab your stuff, let's go.
Yeah, bears coming like this, we had to go like this to cut him off. So we had about the same distance to cover as that bear as well.
Just about. We had a little shorter than him, I think, but and we had the right wind too, which is huge.
Yes,
we got lucky on that. The wind was just right. Yeah. We were coming in downwind from him, but also in between us at that point, we had a crosswind.
Yep.
So when we came to that 90-degree angle, we had a good wind. He never knew we were there, and we had to cut through that open stuff to get to him.
Oh, it was wide open. It was a little muskeg in between two lakes.
But that's the beauty of bears is they don't use their eyes. They say they have as good eyesight as us, but they have a nose that is unparalleled on dry land,
don't they?
And so they are going to follow that nose, and they'll look if they feel like something's going on. But we were able to cut across in a single file line. Which makes it so it's less to see. And every time he would lift his head up, we'd kind of crouch down and then get up and going as soon as he took his attention away from us. And it worked out.
Yeah, he looked at us several times, but it's just like, I think it's because they're the acme predator out here and they're not too worried about it. They think they're a moose, they're a caribou, they're I don't know what, and I don't care. They're not going to bother me until he smells you.
Yep. Then and we kept him from smelling us, and that's also is he was king of the valley. He was a big old boar.
He was. He looked big the first time I saw him, that 2 miles away kind of thing. I just instantly thought, there's no question, this is a big old boar.
Yep.
He's all by himself, but he just had that head. What a head he had on him. It was massive.
It was a big old blockhead.
Yeah. So we're sloshing across this, and we were sinking into wet, mossy, sedgy stuff, probably this deep sometimes.
Yeah, basically the area in between the two lakes. And so it's not solid ground, but it's not pure marsh either. So you had some footing, and then you take a step, and then you're down, and you got to get your foot out and keep going. But it was just that marshy, wet tundra is what it was basically.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they would call it, but there was some cotton grass growing in it and a lot of moss, and we're sinking in the muck, and it's a little bit difficult going, but we had to go quickly. We couldn't lollygag around.
No, we didn't.
In a wide open, and he was getting close to the thick forest. There were a few shrubs and trees on his route, but in front of him was the serious conifer
probably
forest
the
coming
thickest
down
that we were looking at on the lake is what he was heading for.
Yeah,
and
we had to get him before he got there.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so we were at when I thought was close enough, and I asked you how far is he, and you said 189 yards. Well, bingo, you take him easily. Well, not only did I get to hunt a grizzly bear in Alaska, I got to skin the grizzly bear with my knife. It's the Ron Spomer Outdoors classic hunter blade that I've been crowing about for some time, and I put it to work on that grizzly bear. If you guys are looking for a great all-around knife that'll help you through the wilderness and then get back home, this is one to consider from Knives of Alaska. Magna cut steel, full tang, G10 synthetic handle. This baby is going to do to ride the river with, as I always say. And I need to wash the grease up the bear off of this knife.
Yeah, you do.
We just got back. This knife has seen some duty. So I was shooting a .338 Federal. I have some of it right here. That's the .308 Winchester necked up, .338, 210 grain Barnes bullet. So we have pretty good confidence in that. And the range was pretty much point blank range out to about 250 yards. So 189, that's pretty much a dead on hold. And I just asked him to stop the bear, like whistle or something and make him stop, because I didn't want to take a walking shot. I would do that on a deer, but not on a grizzly. And it stopped in a pretty much the perfect positions for breaking that shoulder.
Yep, he was broadside, and he actually stopped just out in the open. There's a little bit of brush covering the bottom third, but he left the vitals open, he left the shoulder open, he stopped, gave us a look, and
we gave him a thump.
You sent it, and it hit home.
Yeah, and he started doing the bear spin. I almost always do. And I shot again on that spin, and he was gotten so low down into that brush that I think I tried not to shoot to the brush, and as a result, I was shooting at the top third or fourth of him and shot over him. I didn't hear a thump.
No, and those bear spins are hard to hit because they're moving around so fast, up and down, they're biting at whatever just stung them. And so he's doing that, moving around. It may just be in just a direct circle, but he's up and down, and it's hard to send that one home. And I've missed those shots too.
Yeah, but fortunately, and this is important, guys, Gary gave him a shot before he could get into the trees, and we had discussed this ahead of time. So some guys don't want the guide messing with it. Like, that's got to be my bear. I have to do the whole job myself. I understand that, but I think it's more important to make sure you've anchored that animal. You don't want him to risk getting away. You assume that your shot was good, and I assumed that my shot was good, and it proved to be. I'd broken the leg, and we found the bullet on the offside right behind the leg, so it's probably a heart shot, definitely a lung shot. But those bears are awfully durable. I mean, quite frequently you put bullet after bullet after bullet into them, and they just keep it going, and you don't want to have to go into the thick brush after.
No, and once we got over there, we took a look at that forest, and we realized we really didn't want to go in there when it's the spruce are 1.5 feet apart, and it's dark and thick, and that's where he after his spin he had turned and was heading into the.
When he was going straight away, Gary very wisely put one up the backside and broke the hip. Once you've got that leg broken, he's not going anywhere. So then we walked up to him, and he was just about finished, but I put a finisher, high shoulder shot, hit the spine and killed him right then. And there was our bear, and Wildest was amazed at the size of his head.
He had a big old noggin.
Man, he had a head on him.
It was definitely unproportionate to the rest of he was a good bear, body size, but his head was bigger than the rest of his body. It definitely stood out to everybody. When we walked up to him, we both commented on it.
And I wondered on some of it if he didn't look a little bit smaller in the body because he had lost so much hair off of his rump.
That's some of it, and it is the springtime, so they are coming off of being the thinnest that they are going to be for the year. But everything else on him was big, but that head was bigger. He had big forearms, and his back and his sides were a little shorter on the hair, but it didn't take away from like the actual size of his body.
Yeah, and he had plenty of wounds on him from battles.
Yeah, he was all scarred up on his back and on his rear, and then when we flipped him over, on his belly.
Yeah, he had some cut marks or something here on his chest, and then that lip, I don't know what that was.
I don't either. It definitely wasn't a bullet because he had all of his teeth, and I don't know, maybe was doing some fighting beforehand, or when he was biting, he bit his lip.
I would assume that he was fighting another boar. And
that's kind of my guess, because it didn't look real fresh. Wasn't bleeding, but it was definitely a good wound.
Yeah, so he was an old battler. How old do you estimate he was?
I would say 10 or older. I mean, he's a big mature bear.
Yeah.
They go through their teenager years and everything like that, just like humans do, where they kind of look awkward and lanky, but he was filled out. He was very stout, had the scars of being in fights, which bears don't fight if they're not dominant.
Yep.
They're going to go the other way. They're going to run away. He had plenty of scars that show that he's been battling for territory or for girls.
Yep.
And that's a key factor on when you're looking at old bears. They have scars.
Yeah, well, his battling days are over.
They are. You took care of that.
Yeah. Now, we're going to eat some of this bear. We stripped off back straps on him. You've eaten grizzlies several times before and found them to be pretty darn good?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah. So we're going to be trying that. Of course, we're going to cook them thoroughly. You always have to consider trichinosis. But you get that meat up to internal temperature 160 degrees for a minute or more, and you're safe on that. So we're going to be trying the grizzly bear and see how well he goes down.
Yeah, I mean, we found a bunch of grass in his mouth, so we're assuming he's...
Yeah, grass-fed beef.
Grass-fed boar.
Grass-fed boar, yeah. So that's the hunt, guys. If you want to do one like this, give these guys a call at Bushwhack Alaska, and they'll set you up, because this is an extended season. The normal bear season ended, end of May?
End of May.
And then they had added this conservation hunt.
Yeah, so we get the month of June to hunt bears as well.
Now, I would say if you're looking for that quintessential bear full mount or rug, probably not the best time to do it, because there's rubbed. This late in the year, those bears are itching or whatever they do, but they rub that winter coat off, and then you're down to the scrawny looking hair in the backside. The front of this bear, though, is still in perfect condition.
Yes, he is.
Big, heavy legs with lots of black hair down there and all, and the head is perfect. So he's going to make a good, we'll say, a half mount coming out of the wall, or a classic shoulder mount or something like that. I wasn't going to mount him, but he's such a magnificent specimen. I want to put that big old head beside a big black bear that I've got. I've got a Boone and Crockett black bear that looks pretty impressive. But once this guy gets up there beside him, game over.
Yeah, he definitely had a head on him, and beautiful blondish brown hair, and just a good look. It's going to be a great looking mount for you. And yeah, he was a little rubbed, but that's just the time of year.
Well, I don't need another bear rug, but this head mount's going to be pretty spectacular. Yeah. Now, also, guys, if you can, when you book a hunt, go for a guide like this who's got some of his own bear muscle on him, because he can pack a load. I picked his ordinary day pack up, and I about fell over. I got tired hauling my light little load in my backpack. His backpack is like he's got the camp gear for about 4 people in it at all times, and then he stuffs the bears in there yet. What did that bear cape and head weigh when we packed it across that lake?
I'd say it was 80 pounds or so.
That all? It looked heavier than that to me.
It might have been. I could be downplaying it, but it was.
I think you are.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Now, I should say that he didn't actually pack across the lake, because our videographer did. We've got, and what is he technically an assistant guide or a guide in training?
No, so he would be a packer and or guide in training.
Packer guide in training,
but he's working on his credentials to become an assistant guide.
Okay, but he's also an amateur videographer, photographer, and he handled the camera chores for us. But he did a lot more. His name is Jonah. And he did a lot more. He was a great addition to the camp.
He was. He was a pleasure to have around. Good help, good conversation, and he took care of the camera and got everything on footage for us, which a looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, and he spotted the bear the first time across the valley.
Yes, he did, which is always a plus.
Yeah, it never hurts to have an extra set of eyes.
No, it doesn't.
Watching things, because those bear can disappear in a hurry.
Yeah, because one of us was looking this way, one was looking that way, and then he was looking.
He was looking the right way.
He's like, "Oh, there's the bear, guys."
Thanks, Jonah. You're our man. Anything else you want to tell folks if they're thinking of coming up?
If you just want to come up, have a good Alaska adventure, and have a chance at a grizzly bear, I'd say we're your guys. So it's this is what we do. This is who we are. We're experienced guides, experienced country, and in the country, and this is what we love to do. And
you also do moose hunts?
We do moose hunts, brown bear hunts, and fall grizzly hunts as well.
Fall grizzly hunts as well. Okay. There you go, guys. Bushwhack Alaska Adventures. And there, I'll throw some fishing in there, too. They claim they've got great fishing around here, and we are about to find out. Because I've got a few more days to kill.
Yeah, you're fishing the famous Bristol Bay drainage. So out of Lake Iliamna here, we have a lot of home waters that we love to fish for rainbows, grayling, Arctic char, pike. And then whenever the time hits here in a couple weeks in July, it'll be sockeye salmon season.
Yeah, well, I won't hit that, but I'm looking forward to the grayling, the lake trout, the char, and
rainbows,
big rainbows.
pike. Yeah.
All right. So, thanks for listening in, folks. I hope you get to live out your hunting dreams the way I have gotten to live out mine, and meet some fascinating people and some good guys like Gary here and Jonah. Just makes for an all-around superb outdoor adventure when you're with good people in good country, and Alaska is that, and so is Bushwhack Alaska Adventures. We'll see you next time. Hunt honest and shoot straight.